When I was 30 years old, I got diabetes. I'm smiling. It's not a story about being diabetic, and it's not a story about the fact that I was close to death for 3 months without knowing it. And for me, what that meant is that if I didn't know, I mean, cancer runs in my family, if I didn't know what was going on for me, I could see that there must be lots of other people that needed to wake up and learn about diabetes. So I joined the Speakers Bureau of the American Diabetes Association, and there were 6 sessions. I did all 5. I didn't go to the 6th. You know why?
You have to speak.
Yes, I was afraid. I didn't know I was that much of a scaredy cat. And so I'm asking you in the group today, have you ever held yourself back, wanted to do something, but held yourself back? Looks like you're nodding your head, or wow, you guys are in the right place today. There are a couple of other places that I think about in terms of my own journey and where I was afraid. I already said I'm a psychologist, and I actually had a PhD and was able to hide the fact that I was afraid. And every time I sat in a meeting with other psychologists, now think about yourself sitting in a meeting, and they're going to introduce yourself, and about halfway around, some of you understand. And all I'm going to do is introduce myself or what I do. Or so I just have to tell you, I know what terror is. I know what the whole sense of my body betraying me, and I can't control it, and my brain goes blank, my heart's beating so fast it feels like I'm like this. I can't think straight. So I just letting you know that I had severe anxiety, and look at me today. Anyway, that's I just wanted to set the tone about where I've come from and what I know is possible, not only for me, but I believe it's possible for you. And I have a slideshow today, so I will go in and out of some slides. I want to know, your first exercise is to note on a piece of paper, is there something you want to speak up about? It could be on a stage, a platform. It could be to a spouse. It could be to a friend. It could be maybe you have a book and you want to go out and go to bookstores and events, and maybe it's networking. So if everybody could write down, I have something to say, and maybe it's to somebody. What is it and who is it that's involved? So if it's an audience, maybe it's an audience of, I know my friend Tamara here does change makers, social activists. She wants to speak to social activists, so that, maybe it's a group of people that you're thinking about wanting to speak something to. So what is it and who is it? Do you all have something like that? And looks like Tamara or Louise is putting it in the chat. If you, Rosemary, you have one? Okay, so it might be personal. It doesn't have to, life is the stage. That's my point of view. It's not just a microphone with, a big audience in front of you. I told you I had terror. It was even at an extended family dinner table where everybody's all animated and talking and I'm more quiet. How does my voice get heard? How do I, speak up? Siley, did you get one yourself? If you have one, I hope so. but I just wanted everybody to land with something that we could start with that feels like, oh, if only I could, I would. And, or I'm on my way to, I just want more tips from Doreen, something like that. All right. So I'm going to start sharing slides and be patient with me because this is all kind of technological stuff here. So I'm going to start the slideshow now and I'll go in and out of slides. Can everybody see the Find Your Voice? Yeah, thank you, Louise. And I'm going to go up and get chat so I can keep up with chat if that's what's happening. And so now the next thing in your journey here today is to imagine you've got something like a magic wand and nothing is standing in your way, that you have no hesitation, no fear. Really, you have a deep kind of sense of yes to speaking in the way that you can imagine or hope or wish you could. What would that be? What is the desire when it comes to speaking up in front of others? And because there's just us as a smaller group today, if you want to unmute and just say it out loud, that's fine. Or if you want to put it in chat, that's also fine. So, Louise, I want to awaken women. Whoops, that went fast. Over 50 to the power of our collective voices to shift the narrative around aging. Yes, and then Tamara, imagine you have a magic wand. Oh, you're saying what I said, kind of helping people remember that this is the assignment right now. So I actually like to hear voices, and it's a small group. So it's one way of you practicing voicing if you just unmute yourself and say out loud what are the kinds of feelings you would have. Confidence, perhaps. Well, today is about freedom. Freedom, 3 steps to freedom from fear. But ease, how about ease? Sandy, speak up my mind in English and encourage people to be brave. Ooh, I love that.
Okay, I would rather unmute and just speak.
Please.
I think for me, it's more clarity because I tend to overspeak. So I would like to learn like skills just to slow my brain down a little bit and make sure that I'm listening to the other person and that however I put my words, there's clarity in them. Because I tend to have a lot of ideas and just run with it in my head. And I never know how to place it in words. So confident in what I'm saying so that I can be more clear. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I think that you'll learn something today about how to bring yourself into your body into a state that then helps your brain be clearer. I thank you for sharing your voice, Lisette. That was very, very clear, by the way. So more courage is another thing that I have noticed that people are wanting, is to be able to feel like they can, that they have the strength to step forward. And let me go to the next one. There's this big but. Why don't we? What is it that makes us hesitate? How is fear in the way for us? You know, we don't come out of the womb, you know, with this kind of, I better not cry, I better not speak up. You know, it's just all goo goo gaga and it's natural. And that's what we're trying to find our way back to, is the natural sense of our inner voice that in some ways we can talk about that right now, that might have been covered over, neglected, abused. There are all sorts of ways in which you coming out into this world where you first get a sense of I belong, here I am world, and people are applauding you. My I have a quick story about grandma who would take care of us while my mother went in and out of the hospital. She was severely depressed. And whenever mom came back, my grandma would shush us, my sister and me, and say, shh, you better be quiet or your mom's going to go back to the hospital. So that's some of the early roots that I think that happened to me about, ooh, it's not safe. Something's going to happen that I don't want to have happen. So think about your own story, and I'll name a couple of roots or ways in which you might have silenced yourself very early. And I call it also, you might have orphaned yourself or left a part of you behind that still wants to come out and play and be impactful, wants to share your message. So here are the ways in which, and it's in my book, I have some exercises that people do inside of the book, but think about culture, messages. Sandy, I know you mentioned that you're wanting people to be able to speak up, and there's a way in which our cultures, and today we've got several cultures here. What is it your culture is saying? And parents there are another one. You can list these and just later do some little journaling if you want to come up with these perhaps moments. Parents, critical, I already mentioned, or neglectful. Family, I have somebody who that I've worked with who said his sister was so extroverted. Anytime the family got together, he didn't have any room. So it was like he didn't get a chance to practice speaking up. I know in my own case, the trauma of my mother and father getting a divorce was something that felt like it kind of held me back from feeling like I was able to just be more fully expressed. Bullies, um, bullies. I've got lots of stories about people who have been bullied in the work that I do with coaching that I do in my programs, and then there's teachers. So any of those, you know, when you look back, because what we're doing is trying to identify how in your own situation that you might have quieted yourself. Maybe it was just not fitting in, like, you're in a large family, but you're the quiet one, which is my case. Or maybe you're an outgoing one and you're in a more quiet, kind of restrictive environment. And hey, you're too much for people. Uh, Louise, culture, message, parents, family, bullies, teachers. Yes, I was bullied when I was in elementary school. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you, Sandy. Chinese culture, kids are not allowed to speak when adults are talking. I heard that. Yes, I'm glad we have it verified. It's true. We have it from the source. So in my coaching program, this is what I do. I do a little bit of what we're working on today. That's actually the first part of the coaching, is to go within, because if you want your life to shift, you got to shift what's inside of you, the sense of yourself. And there's so many training programs about how to speak and how to vocal variety. But what I'm talking about first is not the techniques, but about the sense of yourself being able to land in inner strength so that you can, all these sorts of ways, nail a presentation. A lot of people I work with need to advance in their career, or make a toast at a wedding. I had Brian started seeing me in March because he had a wedding in September. And he knew he was going to have to speak up in front of all the family and friends. So he started working on his fear in March because he was really wanting to show up. And by the way, he's happily married and now has 2 kids. And it was so good to work with him to get to a point where he could cross that. No, I guess you don't go down the aisle. The guy is probably waiting at the front. But in any case, he had a wedding. So these are some of the outcomes are, of course, how we get there, how we get more money, or how we get better relationships, or how we feel better about ourselves is, I think, always an inside job. And so that's what I'm doing today. I want to come back out and also check in with people where you are, because I know I just shared a little bit about my own moment with my grandma, and Sandy shared about the culture. What are some of the ways, either culture, family, being bullied, some ways in which you look back early in your life as an inner kind of, well, how did I get my feet on the ground for the first time? And was it secure and was it safe? Was it secure and was it safe? Because if it wasn't secure for you and if it wasn't safe, you have some underlying anxiety. And that's what we work on, is more deeply around that anxiety. And once we smooth that over, heal it, get underneath it, ah, you're able to find this sense of strength way deep down in the core of you. Susmita, I hesitate to speak up. What is my new book, Awakening with Ease, about? Oh, you've got something you want to say, and you want to share your book. And so what would you say? I know a little bit about your story. So if you want to just say one story that comes up, or just a phrase about what was hard for you. Oh, there you go. I forgot my song first time on stage, age 4, when audience light turned off suddenly. And that was, yeah, you think, well, light went off, no big deal. But yes, if you put yourself, and we'll do this a little bit later, all the way back to that little kid, 4 years old, doesn't understand that anything. It's just all of a sudden you're not developed enough yet to have the perspective. Tamara, without safety and security around speaking, anxiety often shows up. Thank you. Thank you guys for playing so far. I want to go back to the slides. And so today, I love hearts. So you'll see hearts scattered through my presentation today, because that's what I think, that always finding the words that come, even if they come through your head, they go down into your heart and they resonate. If you've got a voice that feels like it knows the sense of vibration in your heart. So today it's my model, the model that I teach here today is face your fear, embrace your fear, and replace your fear. Just take a big breath and say, what does this have to do with me being able, like Liz said, how does this help me be more clear? How does this help me be more like Susmita, be able to talk about my new book? Same with Sandy. How does this help me? Well, we're talking about the inside job that has to be cleaned up in such a way that you feel like you have no fear, or at least you know what to do with fear when it shows up. So let's start with fear. And brain science can get complicated, but I don't think I need to go into brain science. I like to think of it that there's an old brain and a new brain. And the old brain is the one that is more powerful than the new brain, right? I mean, we think that the new brain is controlling, and all we have to do is say, I shouldn't be. But whenever you say, I shouldn't be, or there's no need to be afraid, the old brain says, ha ha, you are. I know. I know better, because your body is starting to shake, your voice is quivering, your heart is pounding, and the front brain, or the new brain, goes, why can't I stop it? I just want to get rid of the fear. I just want to get rid of the fear. And I bet that you would be saying that, because I have to tell you, everybody who comes to see me starts with, I just want to get rid of it. I just want to talk briefly. The only other thing I want to say about brain science is that neuroscientists, and it's a book by, I don't have to tell you who they are, but it's Pittman and Carl, and it's called Rewire the Anxious Brain. And they have shown that the old brain and the new brain are wired differently. So they don't really communicate that well to each other. Like, you're saying, come on, shut up back there. And it's saying, I can't stop it. It's just really happening. I'm triggered. And I'd like to, before we move on, just give you this new idea around looking at fear and learning how to face it. Fear is where your fulfillment lies. Fear is where your fulfillment lies. And I had a client who, this may be a tip for you, right? An early tip is she says that when she has fear, she looks at it like clouds, and the clouds are just disappearing. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having a sense of fear, sitting with it, taking your breaths, centering and grounding yourself, and going, it just dissolves. Like weather, it's just passing. But I know it's hard. I know it's hard to look. There are biological reasons because fear triggers that's response I've been talking about, the fight, fright, freeze, or get away, the flee. Um, so we're not able to really say, oh, yes, I want to go face my terror. That is, you know what it feels like. Why take yourself to the place where you feel like you've been most afraid? Psychological conditioning is the next one. And the more you avoid fear, and this is really important for today, you've got to be taking this with you, is the more you avoid fear, the more the brain, that hindbrain, that old brain goes, oh, good. Phew, you're reinforcing it. So that's why it's important to say, hey, in there, we're going to come look at you. We're going to try and understand you. We're going to do something. Doreen's going to tell us about in just a minute about how to deal with fear in a new way. The third reason why people are afraid to come to coaching with me, if you want to say, it's because if they really put out their fear, they feel like they're going to be judged. They're ashamed of themselves. It's something they've carried for so long. And if this is true for you, I definitely know how you feel. But it's a mind shift. I'll read it in a second, but look at this. The fears you don't face become your limits. So by facing your fears, especially if you are part of a safe group, or that's one of my favorite things to do, is to help empower you to grow yourself from the inside and to break through limits, break through fear. And remember, your voice is your most powerful asset. From the bedroom to the boardroom, from the boardroom to the bedroom, however you want to say it, that is where you are most, everywhere you go, you have your voice. So we've just looked at a step that is really what much of my work as a psychologist has been, is to go in, find the wounded voice and work on healing it. And I'm going to go back to my slides, and this is what I'm suggesting. Because, like I said, if you don't feel safe and you don't feel secure, then fear will show up, and the alarm goes off. That little old brain will go ding, ding, ding. So The cure is to calm the anxiety, soothing it when the alarm goes off to go, ah. So in a way, it's retraining that alarm so it doesn't go off. When you look at this slide, the hands, say out loud what you see there.
Acknowledge,
Wonderful.
Cultivate, welcome,
Welcome. Yes.
admit,
enjoy.
Aha. Can you enjoy fear? This is such a radical new way, I think, of embracing and caring for ourselves. Fear showed up for a reason somewhere along our lives. Let's take care of it. Let's understand it. Let's just hold it like a little kid who's really wants to stay behind, and say, I don't want to come out. I don't want to come out. Well, don't you want to make it safe for the little one inside of you to come out? One of my clients was, when he was 12 years old, he was in a program. Well, he wasn't in a program, he was in school, and he had a class, and it was sex education class. And he asked a question about a sexual thing that young boys do, I guess, at that age. And everybody laughed at him. And he remembers that when we did that deep dive, like I've been working with you guys on, when he did the deep dive, he realized that was a moment when he was terrified. And they teased him, he was bullied, and it was like a turning point of himself saying, I want to never do that again. I'm never going to speak up. And so what we worked on is embracing that little boy. We took ourselves back and said, oh, hello in there. What happened? And he said, you know what? That kid was the only one courageous enough to ask a question everybody else was thinking. Ta-da! That was a breakthrough moment. He reframed, and that's the work of healing. A lot of the work of healing is reframing a past experience so you have a whole new narrative, you might say, a whole new experience of that. So that would be, if any of you listed some kind of childhood experience, go back to that with a heart and gentle kindness and say, what did I learn in that moment? Who was I being anyway? That was a powerful person already. All right, replace. You probably wanted to get to replace first. I know if Lizette's still here, she wanted to just get to replace. And you just can't do the replacing if your fear is still lodged way back there in the old brain. So it's the opposite, right? It's not about getting rid of fear. It's about replacing it, like what I just showed you with what Dale did with the going back and reframing the fear, understanding the fear, making friends, just like all those words in the hands said, is to cup the fear and embrace the fear. So now we get to replace. And yeah, affirmations are good. They mostly come out of the new brain, but they're good because you can start trying to convince yourself. But the main thing here, remember I said about the woman who saw clouds, her fear was like clouds. Well, the idea is what you focus on increases. Energy flows where attention goes. So if you're putting your attention on fear, 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 and fighting it and trying to breathe heavily and do all these techniques to be a good speaker, it's not going to work as well as, putting your energy and your focus on an inner core strength. So what is that inner core strength? Aha. It's a jewel. It's the essence of who you are. And where there's no fear, that's where you begin to just think about it yourself. Like you are brilliant, you are magnificent, and you are able to shine your light if you're not hiding it yourself or if you aren't staying back. And one of the ideas here is to help you remember this as a reframe also is that where there is fear, there is a treasure. Think of your fear, if you're holding yourself back, that there is a treasure. So I'm asking you, do you believe that there's positive, um, a positive essential sense of self, of strength? And what is yours, would you say? What would you name it? What would you... Ah, what kind of gem, or what is that?
So this is a coin with a Asian woman's portrait on it, and she is the only Asian woman on American currency. Anna May Wong. So I put this coin in front of me, so it can encourage me all the time.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Focusing on the potential and the power as opposed to.
Yeah, and then I just know everything has two sides, just like the coin has two sides.
Yes.
So always look on the bright side of our life.
What an inspiration. Thank you. Anybody else have an idea about the kind of jewel? Lizette, is it helping?
I think for me, I wouldn't say it's a jewel. I would say tattoos are my thing, when it comes to that.
What kind of tattoo?
I have a lot, so I get different types for different things. Like the one that I have for Africa, it reminds me of home because most of my work has to do with travel.
Yes.
So it keeps me close to home. And then I have, okay, it's a lot. But I
Yeah.
always make sure that it's connected to who I am and where I'm at in my life. So that
Yeah.
it's just a reminder of the steps that I have taken and where I'm going forward.
Yes.
So
Yes.
get
Beautiful.
it at every phase in my life. I get a new tattoo. So
Yeah.
hopefully I will stop soon. Of my whole
Yes.
body full of them.
Well, metaphorically, we'll all hold this idea of a tattoo for your soul. What would she have?
A tree tattoo
Did you
with
say it?
roots.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cheetah?
and that's what I have on my leg. Yeah, that's the one for me. The tree of
Oh,
life.
uh-huh. Tree. Oh, that's beautiful. Tree. Okay, that's wonderful. It has roots. That's what we're talking about. Grounding yourself, and especially for you around clarity, gotta bring your energy
I'm
down.
always up there, so I need
I know.
grounding.
That's what we're working on. You know, I think you've got your image. I think it's all coming together today for you. Was there anybody else who wanted to share before I go on? What, Jewel or?
I put mine in the chat, but I collect heart rocks and I always have one. I don't see me on the screen, but I
Yeah.
always have one on my desk.
Nice. Yeah, I have it's behind my screen, but I have a Buddha back there. Reminded me of presence and beads. Yes. Oh, sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have something? Oh, she's asked to unmute. I was asking you to unmute yourself, Gia.
Yeah, Mary, you want to share your treasure, the fear, or you have some treasure that make you feel like it's really valuable for you?
Right now I don't have because I'm not at home.
All right, now then, think of about it as a quality. I worked with somebody when I was working on essence quality, because that's what we're talking about. And I asked her to come up with something. She says, what's a positive strength? And she says, I'm strategic. And I went, okay, that's kind of the doing. What about the being? And she goes, I'm perceptive. Do you see the difference? Strategic is a doing, and perceptive feels like it's more of a quality, an essence quality. So, Gia, that could be something, just name a strength that you have.
可能是你内在的，不一定是一些物质性的东西，可能是一些的你的一些的品质，你的美好的品质，比如说你很善良 ，for example。
Yeah, I'm kind. Yeah, then and I
Yes.
help other people if I can. Yeah, I want to do that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes, yes, yes. And thank you. So good to have you, Sandy. The first time that I really stood up and did some work to overcome my fear of speaking, which I did. You know, I started taking classes and I did Toastmasters, and then I just got better at doing speeches, but I also got better at hiding this more vulnerable part of myself. And that's why I did this inner work and discovered this whole process, which I'm teaching you just a snippet of today. I have, 3 months worth of program that I teach people and guide them through. But this is just the first part about overcoming the fear, so that then you can learn how to ground yourself and speak in ways that resonate and carry your message out to others. I'm going to go back to my screen. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. It's really valuable. Share. So now I want you to go back to where we started and take out what you wanted to say. And come at it today now. We've only had, 45 minutes together. And it's just a snippet of what's possible for you. But I hope I opened up some ideas and some possibilities and some guidance about what to do with fear, and how it, some of what you've been talking about today, the heart rock or the coin or the essence of who you are, the tattoo, the tree, the inner strength, kind, all the ways in which you guys have already. And then who do you want to say it to? Now, this is what if you're going to write it down, I want you all to make a commitment. I'm going to come back and ask you, when will you say it? I'm back. Kylie, if you're still here, I hope you're on this inner journey with us. And maybe I haven't seen in the chat share by you yet, but it would be wonderful to have you say what you feel is one of your strongest inner qualities. So now, in 3 sentences, what do you want to say? Who do you want to say it to, and when? Raise your hand, whoever wants to go first. Or willing to go first. You may not want to, but you're willing. Sandy?
Okay, so once I saw these 3 questions, I want to say thank you to my mom. That's what and the who. And then I want to say thank you to her right after this meeting, and I will make a video for her for Mother's Day.
Great. Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Voice is with you all the time. Are you expressing yourself or not? And this is what partly today I'm trying to help you make a commitment right here, right now. Susmita, what about you?
Well, I wanted to share about my book. Name is Awaken with Ease. And who do I want to say it? Anybody and everybody that I meet, even on the street. And when do I say, yeah, that's probably when. Anytime, anywhere.
So
I make a connection.
are you going out today? Are you going to be on the street today?
Yeah, I'm going to be on the street soon.
Can you commit to saying something to somebody today, whoever it is that you're?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, you committed. Yeah, go. You've got the whole group going. Yes. Is that?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to say, oh, it's giving me the ick just.
Yes.
I want to say I love you to my friends and family more.
All
Because
right.
I don't think I've ever said it, to be honest. Not even to my mom or my dad, because our cultural norms are a bit different here. It's more strict and more direct. So I really, really want to say that more. And when? Probably tomorrow when I wake up and see them.
All right. That's
But
wonderful. I know that a lot of times people put it off till tomorrow, but I trust that tomorrow is real for you. And the whole group has heard it. And we're holding you and witnessing you. And if there's any wobbly tomorrow, just go big breath. It's the practice of voicing. Thank you. Rosemary,
you.
did you want to share something?
I'll just echo what everyone else is saying. My children, I just want to say to them, thank you for putting up with me, and thank you for being so, be so resilient and being a potter in the desert. And I just want to say to my children that yes, I'm very proud of them and I love them. I will say that more often, like everyone else is saying.
Isn't this amazing? Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary. Here we go again, Gia. Do you have something you want to commit to?
I just want to say thank you for Sandy. Sandy teach me English. I just with Sandy. I just learned English with Sandy almost 9 months.
Wow.
I can't understand anything. What did you say? But I'm so grateful for Sandy. You made me come here, know everybody, and she teach me a lot of things. And thank you for Sandy and translating for me in English for use Chinese. So thank you. I want to say thank you for Sandy. Many things.
Wow, look at you speak. Yes. Wonderful. Oh, this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Your voice is powerful, Gia. Thank you so much. I'm going to go back to share. So coming back to our work today, face the fear, just summarizing at this point, embrace and replace. And so many people just want to go to replace. Let's get rid of it. But I hope you have a new value for the depth of what's inside of you and where fear originates, and that embracing is the true way of finding your voice. Just wanted to show you Hashi, and she is somebody who worked with me. She's a lawyer. You can see attorney there. And she was afraid to go into court, speak up to a judge and to a jury. And I think any of us might project ourselves into that situation and say, yeah, that is scary. But she did a video for me. So I'm going to see if this shows up for you, if you can hear this or not.
I am Hashi Richards. I live in Orlando, Florida. And here in Orlando, I'm a practicing lawyer, practicing estate planning, immigration, and also probate. The thing about Doreen's program that I really enjoyed was she really focuses on your internal self and connecting with your authentic self. And embracing the feelings that you're feeling and going with that rather than trying to mask them or suppress them. So you use what you're feeling, connect with yourself, and then move forward and be very forgiving, right? I've noticed, tremendous changes with the way I interact with not only my clients, but also the public, my friends, family, appreciating who I am. And again, the authentic me has really helped me and make me feel more confident when I'm speaking, and knowing that it's okay to say, right? Or take a pause and breathe, which a lot of people forget to do. And so it's just been an amazing transformation. And also I got to meet incredible people in my group as well. We did the sessions during COVID. And so it was all virtual, but I made really incredible connections. So I'm thankful to Doreen for that. One thing that drew me to Doreen is that she has gone through a lot of the same things that we have gone through in their speaking journey. And so connecting with her on that level, someone who's gone through that, it was very helpful, rather than someone who, acts like they know it all and they're just a super speaker. Relating to Doreen on that level was wonderful. And she's very, very caring, very caring.
So Hashi, like lots of clients who have worked with me, whether they're really timid or they're terrified, this is what they tell me that they're able to do. Just what you heard Hashi say is that they feel more courageous in any situation that they used to avoid. They have more clarity. That's interesting. Clarity. That's what I hear from people. They feel like they do get more clarity, and they're able to step into their own natural power. And I have a offer for you. It's a Speak Up Now breakthrough session, and it's a one-on-one just with me. And I would work with you. Well, we already worked out some of that today. We envision your future empowered self. We identify your biggest challenges. And then I design the steps to confident speaking. And this is a complimentary one-on-one with me that I help you decide whether it's a good fit to work with me in the 3-month program that I have been speaking about today, the journey to find your voice. It's called Find Your Voice Training. But the first step, how I know that I know time and I know money and I know all sorts of things get in our way, but I held myself back. I didn't tell you the details of my story, being a psychologist, hiding behind degrees, but finally, obviously, I've come out and am so excited to be sharing more. This is a QR code, or here, if you go to speakupnow.today, you could book. I opened some sessions this afternoon and tomorrow for you to meet with me and go to the next step, which is to obviously just look at what's up and what's possible. And let me just have you all have a sense that you're standing or sitting in front of a group like this and feeling the warmth and the acceptance that you've been seen and you've been heard. You've been seen and you've been heard. And in the chat, I think, is the how to see chat. Yeah, the Speak Up Now breakthrough session is in the chat. And you also got the QR code, which Louise put up for us too. Thank you, Louise. What is a takeaway today for you? A takeaway.
For me, it is the who, when, what.
Good. You made a commitment.
That's a simple way of finding my voice here, really. What is I want to express in this moment.
Great. And we got you, you got your voice saying yes to the next person, or not the next, but somebody you see today.
Yeah.
Thank you. Most powerful for me is that your fear will just keep hanging out and sabotaging you if you don't face it. Yeah.
For me, my takeaway from today, there's a fear, there's a treasure.
Ah,
It's not a bad thing anymore. So because there's something underneath, it's very
yes,
valuable.
yes, yeah. Like
Yes.
a lot of people are shaking their heads to that one. Siley, did you? I don't know if you're still with us, but you could either unmute or just put something in the chat. Lisette.
Um, for me, is embrace my fear, and say what I want to say, and just love that fear is not always a bad thing, like Sandy said. So I just want to face it and embrace it, and say what I want, what I feel like saying, without feeling like I'm gonna be misunderstood.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I'd love to work with you on that without feeling that I'm going to be misunderstood, because obviously there's some, I might not be understood in there. Yeah, so we could get at that and help dissolve that little hold back. I'm worried. And I think, Rosemary, are you still with us? I see something like you're still here in your name, but and yeah, do you want to say what you would take? I mean, I know you took away how grateful you are to Sandy, and you took away speaking up here in a group. Yes. In a group of all us women who are speaking English, and there you are. I'm so proud of you for courage, and that's partly what we're talking about. Is takeaway is courage. Cultivate courage would be my last note to everybody. So, and blessings to all. Cultivate courage, yes. And Rosemary, I feel lucky for your children, if you're still on, that they get to hear your words whenever you choose to do that soon.
And my takeaway, I will face my fear.
Okay, face, yes. And I think that the reframes I've done a couple of times today is helping you to say, hey, fear, you took the power away from it, right? Fear has been overpowering you. Hello, old brain. Why don't you just shrivel up and and go to sleep? I don't need you anymore. I want to be more free, which is what we've talked about today. Freedom from fear. Thank you. I've gone over a couple minutes, but thank you, everyone. And this is what I love, is leading groups. And that's I hate to say goodbye to you as a group, because you're also forthcoming, and sharing your voice has been wonderful to hear today. Thank you so much. We'll sign off for now.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you
was
so
nice
much.
meeting everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Somebody could help you. Was that I think.
I can't find the leave button. Oh yeah, it's behind the video thingy.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
That's fine. She's on a phone, so it's harder for her to get off, I think.
There we go.
Was that fun?
Wow.
You have such a fabulous way of engaging people.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Masterful.
Very
it's hard to
masterful.
do when I had 45 people in the room. That was the first time I did this, and it just I capped it at 25 this time.
Mhm.
You
Yeah, you did such a great job. I loved how you created safety and connection in the beginning, and I loved that you kept it casual, and few slides, and just going back and forth between your teaching points and inviting people to give feedback. I mean, it felt really like a class or like a group.
Group therapy.
Well,
Yeah, yeah,
it kind of
but
felt
it
like
was good.
like a psychoeducation group in a
Okay,
way.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah, no, it was great, Doreen. It was really good.
Yeah.
I have to tell you the story of my grandson, though. Well, you made me think of it while you were talking. When he was starting kindergarten, my daughter asked him, how are you feeling? And he said, well, I'm scared, but I can be brave when I'm scared.
Aw.
That's-
And he,
yeah.
yeah, which made me think of what you were talking about. He was, yeah, I can be brave when I'm scared.
Well, that says he's learned something already.
Yeah.
Kids don't learn what brave feels like, or that it is possible, and so that's good that he's.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
It
So
was very cool.
thank you both. I think Zoom saves chat, so I don't think we need to do that.
Okay. I tried to save it anyway, but
Yeah,
I'll
no,
see if it did.
at least well, I
And
got myself.
yeah, and before I forget, the one thing this woman in this Facebook group course said is that if you want people to join your Facebook group, include that in your links.
Oh, true. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be something then I could do in the follow-up email.
In your follow-up
yes,
email,
it
yeah.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just at the point of going beyond the group, the SAGE group, to start welcoming and inviting other people.
Nice.
And we're at not quite 100 yet. I know
Nice.
he said, help, let's get to 100.
I know, and I did. I got over it. It was great. It was
That's
kind of
awesome.
cool. But she had some other really cool tips about how to, like, she basically said you'd either decide you're going to do free, paid, or joint ventures to increase your group. So paid advertising or just free, like just keep doing the emails and stuff, or the reaches out, or you do a joint venture, but you pick one and then you work that for a couple of months. So I have somebody who I can do a joint venture with moving forward and further down, but I can do a bunch of free stuff now. So I'm just going to focus on it.
That's cool.
When you say free stuff, what do you mean?
So she talks about for free stuff, you I will send you the list, the page thing that she sent out, which was, so she gave a 2-month calendar of on Monday, you post this in your group. Tuesday, you do this, Wednesday, this, Thursday, this, so that you're once a day in there for the beginning. And then you post some of those things on your own page, or you can, just do when you're doing your, it's mostly just keeping your own organic growth going. But then she talks a lot about, I'll send you that page, but she talked a lot about, there are only 2 methods of growth. This was the big one. There's passive, which is you have your Facebook group on the bottom of your email signature. Never thought of that. And you just keep putting it on everything. So that's the free kind. You just keep putting it on. And then the active is when you really go out and you pay for it and you just do all of that kind of work to get it moving. Yeah.